Hello buddy, this is Purge, bringing you guys a Shadow Demon replay commentary. This is one of my favorite heroes right now, so I'm going to talk a shitload about Shadow Demon and how good I think he is, and talk a lot about him. First things first, let's take a look at the Dota buff. If we tab on over, so this is Shadow Demon's Dota buff page, just tracks his popularity, stats, all that good stuff. He is one of the least popular heroes in the game. He is bottom like second or something, 107th popularity this week. He's almost entirely unplayed. I think he's a good hero. I like picking him a lot. I actually pick him quite often. The most popular build is a little bit wrong, though. This is something you can sometimes do. And his most used items, I think, are a little weak. I think the Aghs is really the big one to look out for. Look at the win rate on that item in comparison to all of his other items. Like, literally all of the other items in his win rate are sub 50%, and the Aghs has a 60% win rate. And this is the item that I really feel is core on a support Shadow Demon. So that's what I'm mostly going to talk about today. And focus on as an item. You can get things like Yule Scepter. Force Staff is situationally useful, but as a whole, the Aghs build I believe is the best way to go. I wish we could check a couple more items. He's good against Omni Knight because his ultimate is a Purge, which removes things like Repel or Guardian Angel, stuff like that. He's good against Wraith King because you can kite Wraith King pretty much endlessly. But as a whole, his win rate's still not that amazing. What does this show the win rate of that hero? I don't think it does. I think this is the win rate of Shadow Demon versus those heroes. Like, Shadow Demon's win rate's pretty bad is the problem. His win rate is 42.25% in pubs. So it's not looking very good. He's also very bad against heroes that have AoE. He's not very good against Chen, apparently. I could see him being bad against Lycan because you can't slow Lycan through his ult and stuff like that. Illusion heroes he's not very good against, basically. So I think that's pretty fair. In terms of me, I play Shadow Demon a lot. He's one of my most played heroes. I have 71 games on him in pubs, 52% win rate. I'm above 50 at least, so I'm pretty happy with that. And this is the like the hero effectiveness thing. It's some Dota buff stat thing. So it's not a win rate. This is the win rate here. And then this is my KDA per game, 2.4. So if we combine him based on all my other heroes, I actually almost never play him. Or I'm sorry, I actually play him a lot is what I meant to say. He is my 6th most played hero right now. I really like Shadow Demon. I think he's really good. So we're going to hop into a player perspective here. And I'm going to go this.
In the bag.
Here we go. Hello. So Shadow Demon as a hero has a lot of strengths and he has a lot of weaknesses. And understanding these makes you so much better at the hero. First things first, he doesn't have a stun. He does have a slow, but it's only in the form of his ultimate. And he's very hard to play correctly because you have to know how to play him and you have to understand your opponent's abilities, what they do, you have to anticipate them, you have to know when to sit behind allies. The hardest thing about Shadow Demon is basically using your first skill at the right time. And his first skill is called Disruption. It banishes an ally for 2.5 seconds, protects them from all damage while they're there. And as soon as they pop out, 2 illusions pop out. You can cast it on an ally or an enemy. The illusions do damage if you cast it on an opponent, so you can get damage out of Disruption, but largely the ability does nothing in terms of damage. What you're really getting your damage from in the early game is right-clicking. So usually you have to have pretty good attack moving for Shadow Demon to be at all relevant in the early game, or you have to use it as a setup. And that's why his win rate's so low, I think, is because he's a hero that requires a lot of game knowledge to play semi-correctly. You have to understand when it's the right time, you have to have good game sense, all that good stuff. So usually what you want to focus on is, let's say an ally gets stunned for 2 seconds, it's a really good, and he's about to take more damage, it's a really good time to disrupt your carry. Because then your carry's protected from damage while that stun duration goes away, and then they pop out. They're not stunned anymore. They can pop their BKB or do whatever. Times that I usually pick Shadow Demon is when I'm against heroes like Slark. He's pretty good against. He's very good against melee carries as well. Really, really good against melee carries. And big stunners, things like Mirana, he's sometimes picked for that because if somebody gets arrowed, you can protect them. He's one of the few heroes that can basically protect your allies. It's not really the case anymore. In some ways, Shadow Demon is maybe less needed than he is before because you can purchase Glimmer Cape now. And what Glimmer Cape does is you cast it on your ally or yourself. It makes you invisible for 5 seconds and gives you 66% magic resistance. So it kind of accomplishes similar things as Disruption. And that way, those HP bars are a little bit weird. But so in some ways, it kind of is counterintuitive to pick Shadow Demon, I think, now, but I think it's still worth it here. I'm just going to be pulling here. I'm against a Brood. Did I actually mess this up? Oh, looks like I actually did. That was pretty terrible. Looks like it did. I did end up pulling 2 creeps over, which is good because those are going to get denied. Wow, the HP bars are going to be messed up all game. This is going to be pretty hilarious. But I'm against a Brood, and Brood is not a really good lane for me. God, it looks so weird to have the HP bars that far down. I think it's because This is a slightly older replay here. I'm using a lot of my third skill. That's because these creeps aren't going to die unless I use my mana on them. Normally I don't. God, there's so many things to talk about. I'm actually going to pause this game a lot, I think, because there's like a million things that I actually want to talk about this game. Let's just go through the hero. I want to do this hero justice because he's my favorite hero right now, and he's almost entirely unplayed, and that really bothers me personally because I think he's pretty good. I want a free camera here and then pause it. So first things first. Let's go through his abilities. So Disruption scales pretty badly, basically, per level. The best thing about leveling this up is actually the cooldown reduction. And in the late game, the illusion duration and the illusion damage is actually pretty good. But in the early game, it's very, very weak to max the skill out. I don't recommend it at all unless your entire draft in competitive relies on keeping one hero alive and then winning the fight afterwards, which is maybe something that you could do. But I've seen a couple games where people will max Disruption first, and I'm talking pro players, but it's extremely rare. Never max the skill first is basically my saying, especially if you're playing a pub. If you're playing a pub, do not max the skill first. Get 1 point. It's great at 1 point. It does what it needs. Costs 120 mana. Your int pool is really high. Shadow Demon's int gain is... It's not going to show us unless I resume, unfortunately. So let's resume for just a second here. Slow the game down a bit. Stat gain is... Oh, God, I hate that. Go away. 2.7. That's actually really good. His stat gain is pretty good. So, decent stat gain. You've also got Soul Catcher. This is one of his best abilities. This is kind of like... You have to think of this as a nuke. That's one of the reasons why... It's okay that he doesn't have a lot of nuke damage, because if you're in a fight and you can cast this on somebody, you're basically doing damage because it increases the damage that your allies do. So if you gank with a Shadow Demon, what you need to do, this spell's a little hard to use. It's basically, you're not going to be able to see it very well because this is a replay commentary, unfortunately, but it's a giant AoE. That's something about the area of this. Imagine it's a circle, though. I would draw with my mouse, but you can't see. And then you cast it, and then any unit that is in that circle randomly, it will randomly choose one unit within that circle to apply the buff to. So you have to apply it when you disrupt, where, let's say, for example, if I wanted to cast it on this Broodmother right now, I would want to cast it like this, so that it's covering the Broodmother but not the other creatures, or casting it like this. If you cast it like this, it might land on one of the creeps, and then the buff doesn't work. So you just have to be slightly careful with how you place it. It's very easy to do so, though. So you want to cast it on the person you're trying to focus. They take bonus damage. This is buffed recently, so that it affects heroes that activate BKB afterwards. It didn't used to do that, but it does now. So if you cast this on somebody before they cast BKB, it stays on them. So they will take bonus physical damage, they will take bonus magical damage, they will take bonus pure damage. Assuming that all that stuff goes through Magic Community or whatever. It's basically a damage amp, and it's very inexpensive on cost. The cooldown's very low. It lasts for 12 seconds. It is very good against certain heroes. There are games where I will max Soul Catcher earlier, and it's usually against really tanky heroes like Bristleback or something like that, because against a hero like Bristleback, getting bonus damage counters what he's good at. He's good at taking a lot of damage, so getting a lot of levels of Soul Catcher is pretty good. But usually I just get one level. Usually I get it at level 2, but in a game like this against a Broodmother, I'm a little worried about Spiderlink, so I want to get AoE, so I grab to Shadow Poison instead. Shadow Poison is a skill that's been buffed quite a lot over the last year. What it does is you throw out a little wave of poison, you get numbers over your opponent's heads, and you want to stack those as much as you can because it multiplies the damage. If you look at the text, it says 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. That's my fault. Sorry, that's my Skype. I'm so sorry, guys. One moment. Okay. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 times the stack damage. And if you look at the stack damage, it's 20, 35, 50, 65. So every time that you stack, it does twice as much damage for the stack damage than it did before. Ignoring the fact that it goes 20, 35, 50, 65. The more stacks you get, the more damage it does. And at level 4 stack damage, you do 1,000 something damage, magic damage. Does that sound ridiculous? Because that's actually ridiculous. It's very difficult to stack 5 times because you have to cast every 2.75 seconds, and it is a skill shot. So casting on heroes in a long drawn-out teamfight is sometimes tough. In most teamfights, you won't get that many stacks on people. But if you have a drawn-out siege kind of a thing, like if they're pushing high ground, you can very often stack 5 times. And I promise you guys, at low levels of MMR, if you can stack 5 stacks on people, they're not going to see it coming because nobody plays this hero, and you can definitely get kills with it. So you got to stack a lot. And when you do a ton of damage. And the coolest part about this is that, well, first of all, the cooldown was reduced by 0.25 recently, like 6 months ago, I think. But the most recent buff was that it's only 40 mana instead. So it only costs 40 mana instead of 50. It's a 20% reduction in mana cost, which means you can jungle more efficiently, you can farm more efficiently, and you don't have to worry as much about spending your mana on this hero than you did in the previous patch. And the idea here is farming. And remember how I talked about Aghs before? Aghs is the item on Shadow Demon. It was buffed twice now. They added into the game, and then it was buffed a second time after that to have 3 ultimate charges. It basically gives you 3 ultimates instead of 2, or 1 without an Aghs, of course. If you get the Aghs, it gives you 3, and it's really good. So that's Shadow Poison. You can release it whenever you want, which is this skill here. But again, the more stacks you get, it does multiplicative damage, so it does more and more damage the more you stack. It's very good to stack on heroes, but most of the times you're just going to be using it to farm. So that's his 3 basic skills. His ultimate is a bit misunderstood by players, but what it basically does is a super slow that goes through Black King Bar, and that's the coolest thing about the ability. It is not removable. You can't purge it off by BKB. You can't Dark Pact it. That's what makes his hero good against Slark. And pretty much any other melee BKB carry. Shadow Demon is good against Troll Warlord. He's good against Juggernaut in most cases. What you basically do is you disrupt a troll that's approaching you. You cast Soul Catcher to increase the damage that he takes, and then you ultimate him with Demonic Purge. And this slows him for a very long time, for 5 seconds here. Okay? Slows him for 5 seconds. At the end of the 5 seconds, they take damage. But the damage is not the important part. Once you get to 16 and you have an Aghs, it's pretty good, because every time you ulti somebody, it's like they're taking a dagon worth of damage. But the most important thing about the skill is that the slow is very, very long, and you should use it on auto position heroes or melee heroes, especially that are trying to do damage in a fight. So it's like you can't move for 5 seconds. It's essentially a 5-second stun is kind of how you have to think about it, because remember, it can't be removed by BKB. You can use it on BKB units. If they already use BKB, you can use it on them, you know? It's not a stun, but if you're a melee hero and you're super slowed, you might as well be stunned. And because this doesn't get stopped by BKB, it's very, very strong. And I'm not just saying that because it's called Demonic Purge, I promise. So, Demonic Purge, very, very good ability. It doesn't look like the hero does a lot, but I promise you that it does do a lot. So let's continue the game here. And I think I talked enough about his base skills. I can just walk you through the game as I play it now. So I'm honestly trying to encourage you guys to play this hero more. He's very difficult because you have to understand the scope of the team fights, but I promise he's very fun. God, these HP bars are really obnoxious. Anyways, this replay is a little bit old. It's about a week old. I think this was the day of the patch. When the patch first came out, I've been playing a lot of the new patch. It actually looks like I'm attacking that full HP creep, but I'm really not. That's the craziest part about it. So I'm disrupting here, starting the Shadow Poison. A little bit of a mess up there by the... I think I missed my second poison there. And we end up killing the Broodmother, which is pretty good. And I usually start the same item build on almost every support. 2 Tangos, one Ironwood Branch, and a Clarity. The new Mangoes are good sometimes, but in most cases in my solo queues I buy both the Courier and both Wards to relieve support, or to give support to my other support hero, basically. I'm trying to do my best to power level my allies. And because I can, I'm going to go do a stack. I actually got lucky here and was able to do a double stack. You can actually do this no matter what creeps are. Shadow Demon is actually one of the best double stacking heroes in the whole game because of Shadow Poison. It's a long range ability. You don't have to get target of them. You can very easily stack 2 camps, especially on Dire side. It's very easy. Dire side, it's much easier than Radiant. So always good to stack a camp. Quap can kill that later. Medusa can kill that later. Even the Centaur can kill that later if he wants to. It only cost me 40 mana. Completely worth it for me to do that. So I was feeling pretty confident here. The Flying Courier was purchased by the Disruptor. I was able to pick up my boots. This is relatively fast for a support hero to get boots. In a lot of cases, it's probably better to get... Oh, we found a sentry here. In most cases, it's pretty good for your support heroes to get a fast TP, especially a Shadow Demon, because he's a very good hero at turning fights. Because especially if, for example, if my opponents throw a stun on an ally and I can... especially dodge the stun. If the stun's midair and it doesn't even do damage as well, it's really, really beneficial. Just spamming out these spiders a little bit. I should have popped them earlier here. They actually timed out, so I lost a lot of them here. That was a bit of a mistake. And I actually stole a lot of creeps from the Medusa by doing this, so I think that was a really bad play by me. I didn't really accomplish very much. I'm trying to give some support to the Medusa. I guess I killed the spiders, but they were going to die anyways. I didn't know that, though. It's hard to know. You know how that goes. So, but I think this is usually the skill build that you get at level 3, especially if you're anything near a jungling, any kind of a jungling position. Like if there's nothing for you to do in lane, let's say the offlane hero just leaves, then getting as many levels of Shadow Poison early as you can is the way to go. So, when I used to play Shadow Demon, a lot of the times this was the most obnoxious thing ever because they just wouldn't give us like 15 seconds to pause. They were so obnoxious, probably because they were winning 3-0 or something. I don't know, but One of the issues with Shadow Demon in the past when I used to play him was that I wouldn't get very much farm, because I would spend a lot of time sitting behind my allies and things like that, and if you don't get kills from that, then you're not getting very much. So I started seeing this build, I think it was when DAC came up, or there was iLeague maybe, there was some tournament in China, and I saw somebody buy like a soul ring on Shadow Demon. I think I saw it in an IXDL game first, and I was like, oh, that's so stupid. But then somebody did it in the Chinese game, so I was like, oh, maybe it's not stupid, because like top teams are actually doing it as well. And it's actually a really good build, and I do it every single time when I play Shadow Demon now. What the soul ring does is it allows you to cast at least 3 shadow poisons during the duration, which essentially gives you what, 120 mana. It used to be 150, now it saves you 120. Because the shadow poison cost went down. But basically what you can do now is if there's downtime, you jungle. And stacking and jungling especially. And that's really good to do. I think the Brood had it ward over there because the small camp didn't seem to be there. But jungling is really important on supports. In a lot of cases, your supports don't have a way to get farm. But if you do find a way to get farm as a support hero, it's a huge advantage. Because you can sit behind heroes, or you can have a TP ready to defend them, and also you can jungle at the same time. And a lot of supports feel like, oh, my job as supporting is just to get observer wards and plant wards and not get farm. And yeah, but what if you can do that stuff while getting farm? Like you can actually defend your allies while also getting items. Like that, then man, you can do so much more in your Dota games, right? Because then it's like if you're playing Witch Doctor and you come out of the jungle and you have an Aghs, well, you've also been supporting. It's amazing. And Witch Doctor can do that because he can cast the neutral creeps and get all the kills and all that good stuff. There's a lot of neutrals here, so I thought that I would probably start stacking up my Shadow Poison a little bit here, because I could definitely steal this wave, or at least kill it. Five stacks should be enough to do a lot of damage. It probably won't kill it, but it'll do a lot. And he actually split that experience with me here, and then very wisely he went for the kill on me. So that was really dumb of me. I just assumed he maybe wasn't there, but what I should have probably checked was based on the amount of experience I got from those neutrals dying that I didn't level up very fast. So I got most of the last hits on them, but me feeding to kill the Brood like that when we had an advantage was really bad. So that was a terrible move by me, and I was also probably too greedy to buy my Sage's Mask here. I probably should have bought a Sentry and Observer Ward, because that would have allowed me to protect us against the Brood Mother a little bit. So that was a pretty big mistake by me. Giving the Brood an advantage after we killed him was not good. So instead I bought one Observer Ward and I bought a Soaring Recipe, and I'm moving to the jungle now. So yeah, you can basically jungle really fast on this hero now. The build that I do is max Shadow Poison first. Almost every single game. There will be some games maybe where I get 2 levels of Soul Catcher early. But generally, I think that maxing the Shadow Poison as fast as possible is so important, because the scaling that it gets is so big. Like I showed before, up to 65 stack damage, and that gets multiplied by 16, which essentially goes up to 1,000. It's a lot of damage. It basically means that you can kill any large camp with 5 stacks of Shadow Poison, and that costs you 200 mana. Isn't that ridiculous? Like, look, I just killed a stack very easily, and I'm a hard support. Obviously, I haven't done that much supporting yet this game, and yes, you could definitely criticize the amount that I covered my team in the early game, but there's not a huge amount that I can do versus a Brood other than come in sentry, so in some ways me protecting them was maybe not something that I could do. And in addition, in this solo queue game, I think the MMR was actually pretty evenly distributed. Maybe my point is invalid, but I basically felt like I need to get some of my items when I play solo queue, because I need to rely on myself a little bit more than my team sometimes. We did lose the Medusa here as well, and that was unfortunate, but look at that, bam, just kill 3 stacks, and now I'm 6 at 8 minutes. Isn't that amazing? And I have a soul ring, and I can afford sentries, which I assume, excuse me, I assume I bought sentries here. I did not, I was greedy as hell. Looks like I ended up buying a entire Tranquil Boots. So I think I was a little too greedy here, but it's gonna work out. Again, it's like I'm a jungling hero. I could be an Aghs, for example. You could actually probably start jungling Shadow Demon. You used to be able to do it a while ago on, I don't know, it was maybe like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I remember Navi did a little bit. He would jungle Shadow Demon. He would get a lot of early levels on the Radiant side from stacking and stuff like that. But I haven't tried it in a long time. I think it's better to start from a support position and then hybrid into jungle. But I mean, I kind of ignored my team a lot here, but it's going to get me a couple items that allow me to basically be self-sufficient for the entire rest of the game, and I don't have to worry about them in any way anymore. So just very easy to get stacks. I actually messed up on that centaur. That was a pretty major mistake. And yeah, only 3 levels of Shadow Poison won't quite kill them off. But So that felt good. I basically farmed a lot here. I've got 35 CS. If we look at the total CS this game, I'm probably way up there. I mean, compared to everybody else, I have a lot of CS. They have a jungling hero, so I guess it's only making things equal. But and maybe I spent too much time farming here because the kills got pretty equal, but I don't think we lost too much by me doing that. Brood obviously gets a minus, but I think that's fine. So, and the most important part was I'm level 6, so now I can contribute to fights a lot better than if I was only level 3 or something like that. And this is the difference. One of the big differences that's better with Shadow Demon now is that your mana cost on poison is a lot lower, so you can throw a lot more poison stacks out, which jungles makes you go a lot farther with your mana pool. But the whole purpose of the Soul Ring Tranquil is that I basically never have to go back to base. So even if there is a fight over a long period of time, I will eventually get my mana back up. And in most cases, you don't have huge mana costs. In the past, I would go like Urn with Tranquil Boots, but now I go Soul Ring, and I think it's better. The Urn is really good though. If you're playing more of a defensive Shadow Demon, I think the Urn is really good. But since then, I've kind of transitioned more into the Soul Ring build, and I don't like getting both Soul Ring and Urn because it's kind of overkill. I probably should have had a ward up there, to be honest, to protect the safe lane. This is a bit of a weird gank. It was slightly messed up there by the Disruptor, I think. I was waiting for... I wanted to do a Disruption into Hoof Stomp, I think, something like that. Or Disruption into Kinetic Field Hoof Stomp. I don't know if that would have worked, but... So that we shift. I was waiting for the smoke actually, because I knew we were gonna need a smoke to approach him. So we ended up getting mid tower. This game looked really bad the first like 15 minutes. I think. Honestly don't think I played very well. And here I could have disrupted the disruptor. She might still help here. I ended up getting here just in time, and for some reason the centaur turned around again. But whatever, we got the kill, I guess. That was kind of weird. I don't know why he did that. He shouldn't have turned around. But that gives me level 8. I got 2 levels out of that. That felt pretty good. And then I'm going to find the Aghs. And normally if you're in a bad spot, you just disrupt the guy that's killing you and run for the hills. I feel like I still died here. So that was unfortunate, but...
Burns, doesn't it?
And I got a wand. Wand, I think, is the better alternative to getting an Urn. In most cases, Wand is really good right now. 4 to all stats, and it gets you up to, what, 17 charges. That's really good. So when you have Wand, Urn, or Wand, Soul Ring, and Tranquils, you're pretty much set for the early game. And this is the only thing you need until you start building Aghs components. So from now, I'm just super hard supporting for the rest of the game. If you are playing a hard 5, don't be afraid to be a little greedy, guys. And this is the important part, because obviously if you're buying Observer Wards and Sentry Wards and Smokes all through the early game, you need to have some way to generate that income. It can't just be from ganking. And obviously it helps a lot, but that's not always a solution that you're going to be able to get. Now, I wanted to gank the Brood because I felt like he was pressuring our Medusa a lot right now. And this is something that you have to do a lot when you play support in solo queue, is you have to identify the problems and you have to try to fix them. So if I say, okay, we're getting wrecked by this Brood, he's killing our safe lane, he's taking all of our jungle, and there's nothing we can do about it, then we need to solve that problem. So what I'm doing is I'm talking on mic and I'm organizing, and I'm saying, okay guys, we need to kill the Brood, I need somebody to come with me, and I usually look at the heroes and I say, who's the best hero for me to kill this Brood? And it's pretty much like Quap. Like, I'm just like, Quap, come back to me, we can smoke. As soon as the smoke breaks, we dust and we kill the Brood. But luckily, the Brood showed himself. So now we just have to wait for him to show himself again. And then we can pop out. I'm just going to sit by the tower because I don't want him to know that I'm here. If I walk through the jungle by myself now and the Brood finds me, I might die. But more importantly, he's going to know that I'm there and then he's going to play safe. So I'm just going to wait and hide until the Brood shows up. And then hopefully the Quap will come back and we're going to be able to get a kill. The Lina being there is really dangerous, by the way. Like, it's very obvious that he might get ganked if he stands there. There's no reason for him to cut creeps. I was really trying to get him to organize with me, but he wasn't paying attention. Instead, Centaur came over. So I'm going to smoke Centaur. And if our smoke breaks, I pop the dust, I disrupt the Brood, and then we kill him, is what's going to happen. I put an Observer Ward down. That way I can maybe see him a little easier. The Quap dies stupidly. I was really frustrated about that. So I was like, okay, we actually just could have waited and killed the Brood, but, you know, he didn't come. And then we just wait this out. Smokes in the early game are really important when you're playing support, guys. You do if you don't buy any smokes, you're doing support wrong. You have to smoke sometimes and look for kills that need to happen. Ganking almost never happens at low levels that it needs to. And we see the Brood here. I'm gonna go for the disrupt. Oh, actually, I just got the dust first though. And we ended up getting the kill. I didn't have to disrupt there. The reason I didn't disrupt. Can we kill this Lina? I don't think so. I guess he didn't. Oh, that snake actually did so much damage. That was a huge snake. It did 337 damage. He bounced it on all the creeps. I actually didn't think we were going to get that kill while I was playing. And I was watching again this time. I was like, there's no way we're going to get that kill. Your ultimate has a really long cast range. That's pretty cool. But and here's Soulcatcher on Aghs is a perfect example. It's like, do you see how much damage he just took from that? He just took 546 damage. And how much damage is that supposed to do? If we look at Quap, 390. Like, we just did 160 pure damage. That's essentially another nuke, just because of Soulcatcher here. It's such a good ability. Especially against tanky heroes like Aghs, like I said. You just blow them up so much faster. They can't anticipate how much extra damage they take in most cases. Soulcatcher is just great for that. And you always max it immediately after the Shadow Poison, unless you're really, really far behind, and literally the whole fight relies on you disrupting somebody. That is essentially what you need. So I'm almost level 10 here. They'll give me a max Soulcatcher. I've got my Soul Ring. I've got my Wand. I've got 1,000 gold because I participated in a couple of fights. Again, if there's ganks to happen, I will do them now, essentially. If we don't have good control of safe places on our map, then we will do that. If you notice where we warded as well, I put one on the high ground when I was chasing the Lina, but it was actually pretty decent considering it helps us control the Broodmother. If this guy actually shows up as well, because we have it on the Observer Orb for it, it should be a pretty easy kill. And bam, look at the slow on this. Like, he actually just can't move. I unfortunately could have saved the Medusa. I did that really bad. Definitely should have saved the Medusa there, but I ran out of mana and I didn't want it in time. Or Soul Ring, to be honest. I could have done either. Soul Ringed here. But I think I just kept missing both Shadow Poisons there. It's hard to tell because of the... Luckily he died to the dagger. And that fight's over now. I really should have saved the Medusa there. I needed to disrupt her, but I ran out of mana, unfortunately. We maybe could have killed that guy. If that stomp landed, there was a chance. Because, again, it buffs all damage, so it would have been tower damage, stomp damage, double edge damage, shadow poison damage, all that good stuff. So that would have been pretty good. And this is a little greedy for me. I was going to go stack the large camp and then jungle, but because he's pushing top here, I'm just going to go top and stop the push. And this is something you can very easily do as Shadow Demon. Again, if you have a Soul Ring, you're guaranteeing that you have mana. And I didn't explain this perfectly before, but the reason that I didn't used to always go for this mana farming build is because if you don't have a way to make your mana go farther, then you run out of mana, and then when the fights actually do happen, you're sitting like this 70 mana, and you don't have enough to actually participate in a team fight, because you do actually need 300, 400 mana, something like that, to make your hero worth it. If you don't have that mana pool, then you're not going to do anything as a Shadow Demon. So that's why I used to never jungle, but that was a mistake. What I needed to do was buy an item that helped me jungle. It's like, you could look at Soul Ring like a Hand of Midas. It's obviously not. We're going to go on the Brood here, I think. And we ended up finding the Slark instead. But, you look at it like a Hand of Midas. It doesn't necessarily directly give me gold, but what it does do is allows me to get, lets me farm and lets me keep my mana up. So we knew the Brood was about over here. Just gonna disrupt him to guarantee the spiders don't do anything to him, and he'll be okay. He was gonna be fine. I didn't need to disrupt him there, but whatever, it helps a little bit. So that was pretty good. We keep having fights in our jungle. Our warding is in the places where we're expecting our opponents to be, and in this case, they were in our jungle a lot. They didn't play very safe over there, and they kind of stopped ganking. What they probably should have done was smoked 2 or 3 of their heroes, moved them to sit behind the Broodmother, and then when we went on those heroes, they can turn it. But their entire team is playing pretty solo in a lot of ways. I was a little bit worried about our Medusa here, but I guess his GPM was actually okay. His net worth was, as soon as that closes, it was actually up there towards the top. What's his GPM? Do I have that on? 932. It's okay. It's honestly not bad. His net worth's okay. His last hits are actually the highest. I felt like his farm looked a little low to me here, but it's actually okay. And Shadow Demon Medusa is actually a great combo scaling into the late game because once my levels of disruption get up a little bit higher, what I can do with this is I can disrupt the Medusa, or I can disrupt the illusion, and then I have 2 extra Medusa illusions for 8 seconds, doing 60% of the hero's damage. So you can use this on allies in some rare cases, and it's actually good for damage. I think Medusa is a good example of it. I don't necessarily want to cast it on Medusa, because then she's not attacking for 2.5 seconds, but if I cast it on one of her illusions, I make illusions that are just as powerful, or actually more powerful than those illusions that I'm disrupting off of, because it's based on the original hero, not the illusion you're casting it on. little bit of a miss stun here, but again, look at that. Guarantee the kill. Like, Soul Catcher, or the Demonic Purge, it's like you stop moving for 5 seconds. You literally just stop moving. Against a hero like Death Prophet, you have to be able to move, otherwise your hero is not useful. My dust was a little bit late here. A little bit of a mistake by me. Let's see if I can catch this guy. I almost got the disruption off, but... Oh yeah, I remember this part now. He had a Shadow Amulet here. We're like, oh, he's actually here, let's kill him. And then he kept Shadow Amuleting. We're like, oh nice, we're gonna kill him. I was like, this guy's dead. I was like, I'm gonna 5-stack this guy and he's gonna die. I think I missed there. Alright, I just did 1,170 magic damage. He actually... Oh, he was actually so low. We actually almost got him there. The reason we gave up was because by the time that I nuked him, I was like, oh, he's been regenning this whole time. Literally the entire time that he's been invisible there, he was gaining HP, 69 HP per second. That's why he ended up surviving. And then we gave up, and then, because our dusts were all on cooldown, because me and the center are both dusted. Unfortunately, that's partially my fault. I should have dusted earlier on the brood. But, yeah, that was unfortunate. We actually could have killed him. It was close. But look how much damage that was. I actually did 1,170 damage with Soul Catcher. 3 damage reduction. His damage was reduced there by magic resistance, and it still almost killed him. Unfortunately, I was slightly too late here. I also missed my disruption didn't hit the person I wanted it to there. That's okay. I did find this Slark here. Soul Catcher hit. It's so hard for us to kill that guy though. So. Point booster first if you can. If you want to buy another item, I would recommend the Ogre Club. And the HP is really, really important. I didn't think about it that much before, but now that I get Aghs pretty much every game on Shadow Demon, I really, really value going for this build. Going for the HP. And the importance is this. Shadow Demon is a hero that gets targeted a lot by your opponents, and that's because he can save somebody, right? That was a little scary. Got silenced here. Bit of a bait there. If he stayed, I have a really good ability to keep him in position as well. He can't TP because I can disrupt him. He could have silenced TP'd me, that would have worked. But if he tries to run, I can definitely keep him around for a long time. Like 7 seconds, because I can ulti for 5 and then disrupt for 2.5, you know? But the HP is really important, because if somebody wants to stop me from saving one of my allies, they have to kill me instead, right? The build I used to go, I would always go Tranquils, Urn, and then I would get a Force Staff. Almost every single Shadow Demon game. And it felt okay, but the problem is that if I ever got initiated on, I still only had about 900 HP, because I only had maybe a Wand, an Urn, and the Force Staff. If Slark initiated on me, for example, and he like pounced on me, then all I can do is disrupt myself. And then my disruption's gone, and that's all I can do from the fight. In most cases, or at least after he does his combo, I've lost half of my HP, and then I'm already in a bad spot. But if you get Aghs instead, you have an extra 400 HP more than you did before, and you'll probably be dying less because you would have been using Aghs, or you would have had Aghs earlier in the game, and it puts you in a position where like you're so much more survivable, and you have a lot more offensive potential, and it makes the hero so much better. The Aghs is literally the only way to play Shadow Demon. I know I saw that video on Reddit a couple weeks ago, and I think it was like Force Staff Shivas or something like that. I completely disagree with that build. I think you can go Arcane Boots if you really want to, but I think Tranquil Soul Ring is just too good. The armor that you get from Tranquils is just so strong right now. It is actually so strong. You need that 4 armor to make this HP that you get from Aghanims go much farther. It's absolutely required. Really nice stomp from the Centaur there. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit too far away here. Not going to be able to grab that guy, but it did a lot of damage. 337. If I had a TP there, I could have lived, but I did not have a TP, so that was pretty bad by me. Disrupting myself isn't going to do anything, but you know, I get to stay alive for a second. Don't pop your wand in moments like that either, because then you waste 17 charges. I was going to die. You know, the difference of 250 health wasn't going to... 225 health, what is it? 17 times 15? 17 times... Oops, not 50. I want to do 5-1, but you can't do that. 255. So that's a lot of HP. I told that guy he was going to die as well, I think. But whatever. So that was a bit of a bad couple minutes there for us, but it's going to be okay. The Scotty's up on the Medusa. She has a Yasha as well. I told her to get Manta, and I think she did make a Manta. And at that point, her illusions become very strong. I think Manta is still core on Medusa. Scotty first is definitely the ideal build because it does give you so much HP and survivability. It's like a really good mix of damage and making your illusions better, all that good stuff. Well, he doesn't have illusions yet, obviously, but getting Manta afterwards makes a lot of sense. I think his build-up was pretty good. His build was good here. But yeah, Aghanim Scepter, it's amazing. It's really good. Even if it trickles in, like I don't have to actively farm, I can still participate in fights later. Just those first couple levels made a big difference. But yeah, Tranquil's amazing, absolutely core, I think, on a lot of supports, definitely on Shadow Demon. 4 armor goes a long ways towards keeping you survivable, even against heroes like Slurk, because he does right-click a lot. So, at this point, I just want to sit behind the Quap. It's a good example. The guy blew up from Soul Catcher. I'm actually blocked on like an illusion. That was some weird pathing stuff. Fortunately, the rest of the heroes got away, but we completely turned it. I guess we lost the Disruptor probably on the mid lane, but I think that was a perfect example of what Shadow Demon does really well. You hide, you wait till they go on your other hero, and then I disrupt the Quap to guarantee they doesn't die to Lina, and then Lina's like, oh, well, the hero I wanted to kill is now like unable to die entirely, and now I'm in a bad spot, and then I just ulti her to keep her out of position. That's why his ult's so good. It just like forces people to be out of position. You're like, oh, sorry, you actually are just gonna be out of position for the rest of the fight. And Soul Catcher blew up that brute real hard. Burst damage stuff with Soul Catcher is just so good. As an enemy Aghs solution, obviously. I don't care about that stuff. So from here, I'm just gonna farm a little bit. I'm so close to Aghs that it's worth trying to finish it, I think. The other reason Tranquil is really important is because if you didn't have it, then the Soaring would actually lower your HP by a decent amount. So it's definitely important that you do have it. Have both, because now I'm missing a lot of HP, I'm missing a lot of mana, but I don't care because I'm going to be able to continue jungling, and I'm still going to have a lot of HP afterwards. We went to go take a neutral camp. I don't know why I walked towards him. I should have taken a jungle camp in the meantime. Try not to take right-click damages while you're doing this, by the way, because you want your HP to heal. So it can very easily just kite things, lose a little bit of mana, but it's like somebody's dying in the mid lane. I think that's block or something. Oh, she had a BKB, so. Good thing she had the BKB. Obviously had a ward up here. Tried to disrupt him, but I wanted to turn there, but I was really afraid of the ghosts. That worked out pretty well. And right there, I easily would have died if I didn't have Tranquils. This goes to physical damage, so. And now that I have my Aghs, I basically have periods of like, I started off sacrificing, and then I got greedy for a bit. And then I sacrificed for the next like 15 minutes. And then I got a little greedy again. Like right before you're getting your big items, it's important to greed, I think. Don't greed the whole time. Greeding the whole time is bad. But doing a mix of greeding and ganking and stuff is really important. I did a lot of ganking in the early mid game, and then I mostly just sat behind allies. You have to feel out where the game is as support and try to balance it out. So if you're playing a support and you don't have items like this at 30 minutes, I think you're doing it slightly wrong. Obviously this is a good game for me because I have a lot of kills and assists, but I haven't been farming the whole game, you know. I've done a mix of stuff. I've ganked, I've moved around the map a little bit. It's not the most active game, it's mostly passive, but I've done ganks, I've bought observer wards, I've placed observer wards, I've done this while farming. I've been fairly efficient with my time. I had some inefficient moments that I died to that brood stupidly that one time, and I also died down by the bot rune that one time, but there's a lot of really good things about support that you can do. And it's very obvious that they probably had a ward up there because they just took the tier 2. Very likely they warded there. You have to predict where your opponents are going to put wards. And whenever I play pubs, I always deward in obvious places. Always, always, always. Because Because I always expect them to de-ward badly. Always. Or to ward badly. It's not really bad wards. It's like they always take the greediest ward spots. They always place in, like this ward right here. Let's see where I place it. I actually put it in a fairly greedy spot. I like mid wards like that when your tier 1 is way gone. Sometimes. We just spotted the brood here. Range on that ability is really good. Hop. So now my ultimate does 400 damage. If we look at the log as well, this is the combat log. This is pause the game. Looks like I paused the game. Shadow Demon to Broodmother. Let's refresh this. How much damage did I do with my ultimate? Demonic Purge for 337. Did I not have Soul Catcher on him? Does Soul Catcher do Shadow Poison? I think this is the poison exploding or something like that. I'm not sure. That did less damage than I thought it would. Does 400? What are his items? Oh, I found Alina here. Maybe that was a bad time to pause. That's right, I remember this now. I was really confused why they had all their heroes up here. I guess we did chase the brood for a while, so it's not too unexpected that we died, but I felt like I would have done more damage to the brood there with my ultimate. I feel like that number was wrong. Because in most other cases, my damage was Soul Catcher. Maybe I Soul Catchered badly or something. Maybe it hit a creep. Must have been something like that, because I thought it would have done more damage. Usually it does more damage than the listing, because 50% damage amp is more than enough to counteract the magic resistance, stuff like that. So, despite us dying there, I mean, we're still shutting down the brood a little bit, and the brood obviously is pressuring things a lot. Quap kept dying in a lot of weird ways. He was actually a pretty good player. He did have a lot of kills this game, but he always died in weird ways. I would always be like, why is that guy dying over there, you know? But in the same vein, it's creating space for the Medusa. The Medusa has way more last hits than all of our opponents lately, although they do have 4 heroes that are farming really well. But her net worth is pretty up there. It's actually a pretty close game if you look at it. And I'm sure they have a gold advantage if we look at the charts. Yeah, they have a pretty big advantage this game. But I've got my Aghanim Scepter, so I'm feeling pretty happy. And again, what this does is it gives me 3 charges. I'm looking at the Slark. I'm trying to set up ganks basically. Again, these go through Black King Bar. They can BKB afterwards, and I still slow them. Costs pretty low mana at 200. I think if you do get Aghs on this here, you need a Soul Ring though. So make sure you get Soul Ring on this here if you do get the Aghs. Definitely has some mana problems otherwise. Found a Slark here. It's really smart for him to ulti. A bit of a mistake for the Disruptor. Oh, we actually pulled it back. I forgot about that. There we go. He uses his other skills. I don't care. It slows the hero, and it slows Slark. He can't remove the slow. That's one of my favorite things about him. If Slark ever pounces on me as a support, I can disrupt him or myself. Shadow Demon's actually really good against Slark. And even if you die afterwards, Slark doesn't have a huge amount of time that he's invisible with his ultimate. So by the time that your disruption pops out, in most cases it still takes him more time to kill you, and by that point your opponents can turn. And most Slarks are really scared if their ultimate is gone, and they won't actually want to fight through that. So that's why Shadow Demon is usually pretty good against the hero, because he protects against him solo killing people that he Shadow Blades in on, and it also allows me to waste his time pretty much. I thought that was pretty stupid, that Disruptor glimpse, because it made it obvious that we had a ward in the area, but maybe it didn't matter. I don't know. Just gonna slow the Aghs here. Good BKB by him. Very obvious disrupt there, because Alina was thinking about ulting that one. Centaur is going to get his Blade Mail, and I'm going to ulti again in a second here if I could click. Again, continue to Soul Catcher. Look at that damage, man. That was really good. It was good positioning by the Medusa as well, to position on the other side. So, he used all my ultimates in that fight. I used 2 on the Slark because I wanted to make sure that he died before. I think I might have only had 2 in that fight. I ultied Aghs, and then I ultied the Death Prophet. I think I only used 2 there. But the charges are pretty fast in terms of restore. 40 restore time. So despite Shadow Demon being one of the least played heroes in all of pubs, he's actually still pretty played in the pro scene. Well, maybe not pretty played, but sometimes played. Man, I was an inch away from saving him. I was upset about that. But on the bright side, I can actually miss the soul catcher here. This is kind of dangerous. That's a nice ulti by the Disruptor. You just get to ulti all the time. It's great.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
I pretty much
attack.
just use Demonic Purge whenever somebody's out of position. If somebody's ever out of position, bam, throw it on that guy. Or if you're ever ganking somebody, bam, throw it on that guy. You can blink, that's the only problem. It is countered by blink if you don't do damage fast enough. So usually what you want to do is lead with the Shadow Poison and then ulti, because that way they take damage from the Shadow Poison hitting. I forgot to mention that the Shadow Poison does 50 damage as it passes through people. So it does damage instantly. And at this point, here's your luxury item, Blink Dagger. Basically, your core is pretty much a wand, Tranquils, and Soul Ring. From there, if you happen to farm it, you definitely want to get Aghs, and after that, a Blink Dagger is the way to go. Because now my gank opportunities are a lot higher. I don't have to walk in and disrupt. I don't have to use the smoke. I can just approach with Ward Vision and initiate on people. We have a gem on Disruptor here. I think this is an okay timing for it. I can keep him alive in most cases. But we're just looking to see if we can find the Brood. Centaur grabbed an Aghs as well, but Centaur's he was a good ganking buddy this game. He was very useful. Generally moved to where I was and stuff like that. We know the Brood's over here somewhere. Give him the dust. I'm going to disrupt him here. Soul Catcher definitely didn't hit. Oh, that's fine. He's all dead, so can maybe catch this guy. Doesn't look like my team's coming.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
I'm okay playing aggressive against this guy, because my armor is really high. It's a little scary to stay, because if his allies come, I could potentially get killed, but with Blink, I'm pretty survivable. Blink also combos really well with Disruption. If I'm about to die, or if I'm in trouble, I can stop taking damage for half a second, I can disrupt myself, and then after the disruption ends, I can blink away. So that's the other good combo. The other good heroes to pick Shadow Demon with are BKB carries, like Shadow Fiend is a good example, because if Shadow Fiend gets initiated on, and he doesn't get to use his BKB, and a lot of times he'll just get bursted down, but if you can keep him alive, or stop that chain of continual stun, then it's really good for your team. I should have bought more Observer Wards here. I feel like I bought some, but they kept getting de-warded or something like that. But we don't have any wards on the map right now, and I'm not sure what the shop is showing, but I feel like I've been slightly too greedy on items lately. And right now I'm just going to sit behind my allies, in most cases. Just because me sitting behind a Medusa means that we could like 2v4 easily. We could definitely 2v4 with him and I. So just sitting behind your allies at this point is really good. Again, I don't really need to farm. Just need to look for kills and stuff. Usually by turning. We could have gone up for the Brood, but instead thought we smoked up probably to get some kills. I don't really remember because that was kind of dangerous. You just should have glimpsed him. It was a bit of overkill here by the Disruptor. And I went back to defend against the Brood, who I expected would be top, but in fact, actually wasn't pushing. I was a little surprised about this, but oh well.
Radiant structures are fortified.
It's like they killed the Death Prophet on the mid lane.
Radiant's middle tower is under
They should be able to
attack.
continue pushing no problem now, because now it's at most
Radiant's middle
like a
tower
4v
is
something.
fortified.
It's a little scary, but not a big threat. He didn't even break my Tranquils, so I'm still healing here.
Radiant's middle
It's actually pretty
tower is
amazing how
under
much
attack.
regen I have. 13 or 17.2 per second with my Tranquils on. At this point, I thought it was time to sell my Soul Ring, because I wanted to start ramping up my items. When you have 1200 mana, your mana pool is pretty good. Your int is pretty high as well, so swapping Medallion for Soul Ring here I thought was okay. In late game scenarios, you usually don't need a Soul Ring, in most cases. So I felt okay doing this, and I needed another space for Observer Wards, so I carried more Observer Wards. You didn't really see me save space by putting Obs and Sentries on the same inventory key here, but it's still really worth doing. It's just against a Brood, it's a lot easier to use a Dust, so that's why I pretty much use the Dust, Dust exclusively this game. He's the only hero I was really worried about. If I'm more worried about a Sentry or a Shadow Blade, like if Slark had a Shadow Blade, then I would definitely carry Sentries, especially when pushing. Or when farming in places where they're likely to gank. But as it is now, it was better, I think, to just... He kept putting sentries in places where... I guess he didn't expect me. I miss-ultied a bit here. I got Orchided. I think he came back with the gem or something like that. Yeah, that was a kill. That's pretty big. So, medallion in the shop, net worth is kind of swung here. My net worth's pretty high actually, 10k for a hard support is really good. A lot of supports at this point in the game will only have maybe 4k farm, not that much. I was just going to sit bot to see if anybody came. Didn't want to walk in because I might have ran into them, so always much safer to sit back here. And again, I haven't really used the medallion, but that's fine. It's something that I can use. He was TPing back to fight. Canceling his TP here is really big. He BKB'd as well. Kind of had to here, because I feel like he would have died otherwise. And I'm just trying to delay him as long as possible. Because if there is a fight, he can't go to it now. Definitely can't, so... In a lot of cases, supports would have to actually worry about a solo Aghs ganking them, but again, I have 1600 HP or something ridiculous like that. And now I've got a Solar Crest. And this is the only game I've actually tried it so far in 6.84. But I really liked it this game. I thought it was a really good item. It scales really well. Is that my TV? No, it wasn't good. I was going to say, I was like, I don't think my mana's full. The Solar Crest felt really good this game.
Losing my voice.
I think Talisman Evasion's at the secret shop now, is why I'm not buying it. Okay, I didn't have his ulti anyways. So Solar Crest, this is the new medallion. I think it's not an item that supports should rush, but I think in the late game it's a great item to pick up. What it basically is a super medallion. It does minus 10 armor to you and your opponent. It also gives you 75% mana regen instead of 50. Somebody's chasing me. This is a Slark apparently. Best counter against Slark is you just leave using a teleport scroll. Cost me a TP scroll. He's still 6 stats for me, but I don't care. It doesn't really do a whole lot. I also could have outwaited. I probably could have waited for the Orchid to end, and then I could just disrupted him and then ran. But it's a lot safer just to TP home. So Solar Crest, 10 armor. You can use it to reduce your opponent's armor by 10 and your armor by 10, which is usually a good trade. And the other part is that it also has an evasion component. So if you notice that Slark was missing sometimes, it gives me 30% evasion. And if I use it on my allies, it gives them 10 armor and 30 evasion. So the using it on your allies part is a lot better than it used to be. It was still good, but it's even better now. And then if you use it on your opponent, it gives them 30% miss chance, in addition to lowering their armor by 10. So it's pretty darn good. It's really good at roshing because obviously more armor makes you kill it faster, and more importantly, he's going to miss sometimes, which means less bashes. So that part's pretty cool. Octarine Core on the Death Prophet, which I think is an okay item, maybe not amazing. But this is a really big grab here from the Disruptor. That was really well done. I just gave him the ulti and the Soul Catcher for good measure, just to guarantee he dies. Don't be afraid to ulti when you're playing Shadow Demon, especially when you have an Aghs. You've got 3 of them. You can waste them once in a while. It's more important to guarantee the kills. So, at some point, I remember to use the Solar Crest. There we go. You can't see the buff, but it looks really cool. But it lowers armor by 10. Look, he's going to miss the quap a bunch of times. Except for that time where he bashed. But the Solar Crest makes a big difference. Especially the synergy in the late game with Shadow Demon is really good. Because now my Disruption is level 4. It has been for a while, but now it is. It does, what, 60% of the illusion damage? Yeah, 60% of the hero's damage. So it's kind of like having the hero attack themselves with a bit more. But that's boosted by Soul Catcher, because it increases all damage you take. And then you can reduce their armor further using Solar Crest, so you remove their armor by 10. So that's pretty cool. I don't think I ever did it this game, But against Juggernauts, for example, you can very easily solo kill a Juggernaut and late game with Shadow Demon. Like, I only have, what, 12k net worth or something? Actually, that's really high. If you compare it to all the other heroes in the game's farm, I'm really, really farmed. I got really farmed this game. The farm was actually pretty evenly distributed. Maybe it was the difference of the patch, who knows? Maybe that's why I have so much this game. I haven't ran the numbers yet on the stats, but this worked out really nicely here. The next item I think I queued up was the Greaves, maybe? Yeah, it looks like I queued up the Greaves. At this point in the game, I could definitely sell Greaves. I could buy Greaves over a Tranquils. I think that would have been an okay item purchase. Or maybe a Force Staff, something like that. Second ultimate, just make sure she did not move. I figured that the Lina was going to be by the tower, so I blinked forward. I was right. Look at that damage. I'm actually going to pause the game here, and we're going to look at the log again. Let's see how much damage I did to the Lina. Because I pretty much solo killed her there. Alright, so the Illusion hits Lina for 77 damage. I used the Purge debuff on her. So they were doing about 80 damage apiece after the Soul Catcher. And then I used the Solar Crest, which lowered armor by 10. And then all of a sudden these guys were hitting it for about 135 apiece. Obviously there was some other damage in here. We're missing about 300 here from the Scream of Pain or something like that. But, I mean, and then I right-clicked her finally, did 209. Like, it actually did a lot of damage. If you count up all these numbers, it was pretty serious. So your ability, and that's obviously versus the low armor support, but your damage is very good. Against a Juggernaut, for example, the main reason it works so well against Juggernaut is that Juggernaut's a melee hero. He has a passive crit, which means his illusions also crit. So you can make 2 illusions of Juggernaut, which give you crit on them, and you disrupt him, and then you soul catch him, so he takes bonus damage, and then you ulti him, so that he's slower, and then his illusions just kill him, basically. With Soul Catcher and his illusions hitting him, he actually just dies that way. The only way that he can survive that is by, in most cases, TPing home is probably one way, or Omni-slashing, but you don't really want to Omni-slash because most of the time I'm far away, he can't get in range. So the other really important thing that I didn't talk about at all this game is the way that they changed the break mechanics with break and mute, silence, whatever the heck that stuff was called. See, there's an example. He blinked fast enough that my ultimate did nothing, but that's fine. He backed away and we got the racks. Your ultimate when you have Aghanim Scepter now breaks. So it's very similar to the new Shadow Blade mechanic where it disables passives and all that good stuff. So in the case of Slark, I don't think it stops. It might stop his ultimate, I'm not sure. But you can look up the list. It stops things like Fiery Soul, it stops Bristleback, it stops Axe's counter helix, he can't spin if I ulti him with a negative scepter. So it gives Shadow Demon an advantage that he didn't have before. Definitely disrobe myself here because I was in a scary position. And at that point my team overpowers them. But the break mechanic is... they kind of hurt. They nerfed all hexes basically and buffed Shadow Demon Aghs, which I think was another way that he maybe... It's not really like a direct huge buff to the hero because he didn't have it before obviously, so it's a nice advantage. But I think the important part is that it gives him more of a situational pick in the pro scene, and it's definitely something that pros may exploit. They might be like, oh, this hero has a really annoying ability, like he has Bristleback. Maybe we should pick a Shadow Demon and we should farm an Aghs on him. That way when we're actually fighting him in a team fight, we don't have to worry about Bristleback reducing the damage. Like, that's a really good use of Shadow Demon now. And if you get an Aghs, you can do it for up to 15 seconds. That's amazing. That's like way more of the fight than you need. So I think in a lot of cases, Shadow Demon is going to be more useful in the pro scene. I expect that we'll eventually see him picked more as people understand how good the Aghs is. I mean, there's a lot of supports that are maybe better in some ways, but Shadow Demon's toolkit is like so diverse and does a lot of really good things. So I feel like Shadow Demon's a really strong hero right now. I play him in quite a few solo queues. Most of the time, if people pick before me, I will usually pick Shadow Demon later, like 3rd, 4th, 5th pick, if they have heroes like Slark. If there's a Storm, I almost always pick Lion, because I think you just need a hard lockdown to deal with Storm. Like, Disruption does not stop a Storm. I can disrupt him, maybe set up a stun with it, which is good, but in most cases, I need to have a disable against Storm. So if there's like a melee carry that I'm worried about, then I'll pick Shadow Demon. If it's a Storm, I have to pick Lion, because you need disables. So there are games where Shadow Demon is not the right hero, and I definitely don't pick him every game, but sometimes it is the right pick, and I really recommend that you guys get good at this hero and try him out, because I really like him. He's one of my favorites. I would love to see him go up in pick number. I think the main issue is that the people are just playing him a little bit wrong. I think slow ring with Tranquils is the right way. But the most important thing over build is you have to learn how to play the hero and when it's the right time to disrupt. Don't disrupt enemies that your allies are focusing unless they're teleporting away. Don't disrupt. That's basically the main one. Don't disrupt enemies that your allies are focusing. If you're ganking and you don't need the setup, you shouldn't disrupt either because it delays the gank by 2.5 seconds. Try to save disrupt if you can, especially when you have your ulti. It's almost always better just to ulti first and soul catcher. Unless your heroes are slightly behind you and you're trying to get them caught up to you, like if they need time to get in position, then it's time to disrupt. But most of the time, disrupt should not be used to do bonus damage. Don't use it like that. It's mostly used as a setup for your opponents, or setup for your allies, or save an ally, or dodge a spell. In the late game, you sometimes use it to keep somebody out of the team fight for a bit longer. Like if I'm getting overrun, I'll sometimes disrupt the carry to give us 2.5 seconds to run away. But most of the time, you just use it as a setup or a defensive spell, or maybe preparing yourself to stack more shadow poisons. When you do disrupt people, you can throw shadow poison through it to get the stack. So that's another thing you can do. So I really recommend playing the hero. I think this is the ideal item build. Aghs into a blink, and then afterwards maybe a solar crest. You can get medallion earlier. Maybe you can try medallion instead of a soul ring. You maybe don't need soul ring now because they reduce the mana cost of shadow poison down to 40 instead of 50. But I think it's definitely still something that's worthwhile because it helps you guarantee that you can get those big items, aka the Aghanim Scepter that pushes the win rate in pubs to 62%, which is huge. The hero's almost never played, so I don't know why my mouse keeps. Oh, it's because it's my cursor in game. I see. That's where it is. I was wondering why I kept going to that. So I really recommend it. Shadow Demon, probably my favorite hero right now. And that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Oh wait, do you want to watch me win the game?
Radiant's middle tower has fallen. Radiant's ancient is under
Center having a little bit of trouble with the combo thing there. We won. If you guys didn't figure that out yet, the winning was there. And I've been pretty happy. I've been doing pretty well in solo queue lately, so my MMR is going up. So I just thought I would tell you because I'm proud of myself. And I think I don't remember what this game pushed me to. I'm sitting about 52-33 right now. I was at 52-50, but I lost to 1-1 today, so lost a little bit. But that's Shadow Demon. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.